guys, welcome back to my series. I hope you're all really well. So, we have a lot to catch up on. If you've been following me for a while, either here on YouTube or on Instagram, you'll know that my main goal for the past year and a half has been to move my micro bakery business into premises in South London. And it's been a hell of a journey. It's been a massive learning curve, and you'll see, well, you might have seen on my Instagram stories a few days ago that the lease negotiations fell through, very sadly, just a week and a half ago, and I ultimately decided to pull out of the lease negotiations for a number of reasons. And I wanted to make a video today just to kind of share my experience, a whole timeline overview for any other small business owners out there. I'm not here to vilify anyone or to talk badly about anyone or anything that's happened in this process. I just want to share an overview of my experience of the past few months, because it is really, really difficult to try and basically get this thing off the ground. So I've obviously been running my small business for 3.5 years now, and in that time I've learned so much, but I feel like especially in the past 6 to 9 months I have learned just an enormous amount. And yeah, I just want to share an overview with you guys. So basically, August 2023, my business proposal was accepted by the landlords of a really beautiful site in Streatham, like great footfall. Yeah, it was amazing. It was daunting, obviously, but it was very, very exciting when I received that email. So prior to that, I had sent through my business proposal and a visual PDF to the landlords and to the estate agents. And within that business proposal, I kind of had a brief overview of the things that I was hoping for in the lease. So I had a minimum, or they asked for a minimum of 5 years of the lease. So I went for that with a break clause on the 3rd year, meaning that on the 3rd year of training I could reassess where the business was, how it was going, and if I wanted to continue with the lease or pull out of the lease. And then I had also negotiated 5 months rent free, which is pretty standard, or I think 3 months is standard, but I pushed for 5 months just because we were having to do a fair amount of renovation work, and obviously that cost would be helped by the rent-free period. And then the visual PDF was just more about my business, so a description of Lily's Loaf, everything that I've achieved in the past 3 and a bit years, trading at farmers markets, customer reviews, all of my online work, my social stats and all that stuff, and just what I hoped for as a local trader, as someone who is from Streatham, from southwest London, and what I hoped for that this space would be able to bring to the local community. So it would be a bakery and a coffee shop, and just somewhere really beautiful that could house workshops, creative workshops for so many businesses. So that's kind of the 2 documents that I sent to the estate agents and to the landlords prior to August 2023, so sometime in the summer. In the background of all of this, I also was writing and revising my business plan. So in all of this process, my grandfather, who was a really successful businessman in his time, he has been such a guiding light and just a really supportive person in my life, who has always listened and just generally supported me and guided me through this whole process. But he always stressed the importance of a business plan to me. So I did that. I wrote one. under the guidance of like a couple books that he gave to me. I found it quite difficult, I'm not gonna lie, because I think I am a natural born creative, and I find these things quite difficult. But what I did find really helped me was actually when I was looking at the numbers more. So I focused on starting a Google sheet and working through all of my costs. So a breakdown of total monthly operational and labour costs. So that included things like ingredients, packaging, wages, rent, rateable value, so business rates, insurance, energy bills, bins, internet, till system, emergency funds, and then I broke that down to weekly costs. So I would divide the monthly cost by 4 and then break it down to a total daily break-even cost. But on the whole, what I learned was it was better to look at each week and just focus your eyes on those figures, and from that I could figure out my production schedule, so how many buns, how many loaves of bread, how many sandwiches, coffees that we needed to make as a team to make the business flow every single day. So that was really helpful to me, and that gave me a bit more hope and just real clarity in terms of how much the business needed to be earning every single week, every single month to keep it afloat. So once my business proposal was accepted at the end of August by the landlords, I then had to find a solicitor. So I went to my local business friends. I've met so many wonderful, really inspiring business owners over the past 3.5 years, whether that's at farmers markets or on social media or coffee shops just in the local area. And I always am able to lean on them, and it's just really lovely. And I would say if you're in a similar situation as a young entrepreneur, I would say cast your net wide and just really open yourself up to the advice and help of as many local business owners as possible, because they are the only people who know exactly what you're going through, and they may be at a different stage than you are, and they can help you through certain things. So I asked one local business owner who they use, and I got a couple quotes from like my friends who have used solicitors, but also the local business owners. That's the solicitor that I went with, and then at the end of November, so bearing in mind the proposal was accepted end of August, didn't hear anything September, October, November. End of November is finally when I received the draft documents of the lease, and this was 35 pages long. I also received a summary from my solicitor, and after receiving that and obviously going through every single page, all the details, everything, I had my own queries about certain things like service charge, insurance, rent. So what I've learned through this process are there are different types of leases, and that's something that I would be really wary of, and something that I have really come to understand in this whole process is, and I may be getting the terminology wrong because I feel like my brain is still kind of getting to grips with all of this, but there's a fully repairing lease and a fully internal repairing lease. There might be other types as well, but that's all that I'm aware of. And what I came to realise was the one that they were pushing for was the fully repairing lease. So that meant that ultimately I was responsible for the entire internal shell of the building, the front door, the windows, and the roof as well, which is something that I previously had thought was the responsibility of the landlords because it's a building that's owned by them. And that kind of threw me quite a lot because previously I thought I was just responsible for the renovation, the upkeep of the walls, the internal structure of the building, and the front door and the replacement of the windows as well. So I obviously had a few queries that I then sent back to my solicitor, who sent back to the other parties basically. And ultimately, a week and a half ago, when I had a conversation over the phone, I was just really taken aback, and I think there has just been miscommunication, and there's been a lot of radio silence throughout this whole process, and it just felt like the added costs and the added responsibilities that were added to my lease documents, it just honestly, it felt like it stretched my business plan and my business too much. As I was going through this process all myself, I had the support of a few key people in my life as well, but ultimately I'm just a solopreneur, I run the business myself. It just felt incredibly overwhelming, almost at the final stages, and I just felt misinformed. I was surprised at the added costs and responsibilities that I was going to have as a business owner, and what I've since learned is that as a tenant you shouldn't really be responsible for the costs and the responsibilities that was included in my lease. So basically that's what it came down to, and obviously I was completely devastated after I had this phone call, because I felt a bit blindsided, and I felt, like I've just said, misinformed about all these added responsibilities on top of the rent. So that's what it came down to, and I just felt, do you know what, I've felt so stressed the past few months as well, and it has shown in my body, like since this has all happened. I've had a massive flare-up of eczema all over me. I'm a bit better now, but yeah, just massive flare of eczema, and I think that just shows like the effect of stress on the body and how stressed I really have been. I wasn't sleeping properly, all these things, and I just felt, honestly, as a solo businesswoman and as my first time going through this, I gave it my absolute all, and I'm so proud of myself for every single stage and getting to every single stage. But I just wanted to share my own experience, and I have no regrets. I'm really proud of myself for getting through it. I've learned so much, and I have so much respect for every single business owner out there, because they take on such a massive burden and such a responsibility, not only to pay the rent and pay the bills, but also to look after a team and to basically be responsible for the livelihoods of a few people in your team, or maybe many people depending on your business. So after all this happened, I was really just devastated and disappointed, and I just felt like the wind was knocked out of me, basically. But now I feel a sense of relief. I feel like I just always trust my gut instinct, and something didn't feel right, and I've now, having spoken to other business owners, I now know that that wasn't right. The responsibilities that were added to my lease, and I feel a sense of relief, and I'm just trying to figure out my next steps in my business journey. And obviously I can still operate in my micro bakery currently, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, do I want to go and work in a bakery? Yes, I kind of do, but I can't work in any sort of bakery because my food allergies are so severe. I can't really breathe around dairy or eggs when it's in the air, because I'm fairly certain I have airborne allergies. My heart kind of races and I just feel so wheezy. I physically can't work there from my experience working in other bakeries in the past. I'm just kind of figuring out the next steps, but yeah, it's kind of hard to summarize the past like 9 months or however long it's been for the whole process. but I hope in some respects this was helpful to you guys if you're in similar situations, in similar boats, and do feel free to send me a message on Instagram, and if I can help, I will be here to help you. Yeah, it's kind of strange because like this was the year that I was going to have my bakery and coffee shop, and something that I've been working towards for so long, and that was like my goal, my focus, my driving force. But now that this has happened, it does feel pretty uncertain, and I just have to figure out what's going to make me happy. And I think what's going to make me happy is working in a team, in another bakery, a plant-based bakery, and still continue my YouTube. I just love my YouTube community. I love creating content, I love filming, I love photography, I love it all. So if in an ideal world I can still continue that and bring you guys along, I would love to do that. Maybe do some traveling too in the meantime. But yeah, that's kind of the plan. I do feel relieved, I feel free, definitely feel freer. But there's going to be a whole process, obviously, of this whole thing. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I feel I don't really have that much more to talk about, but I hope that was helpful in some way. And yeah, just sending a lot of love to you guys, and I will speak to you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!